especially when it's unexpected.
It's weird because I did an unexpected one earlier that week and it went fine. It went pretty well. But then I did a show on Thursday at a burger place, but it went okay. But I was talking to Jerry Rocha and the guy who runs the show, Justin, and he was saying,
"Oh, Bear Burger.
Yeah.
That's a good room.
It was fun. I've done it twice. But they were saying that they did a show with someone who didn't get booed off stage, got talked off stage, and that's pretty much. I had a section of the crowd listening. But what they were saying was it's not that they didn't like them, it's that they were just indifferent. They were just like the crowd was just talking amongst themselves so loud that the comic got off stage.
Well, in those rooms is where you learn presence.
Yep.
You learn how to fake the funk. You learn how to... It's a weird thing to describe. You have to learn how to overtake them without overtaking them, because if not, you get a bottle thrown at your fucking head. That's the reality of it.
Yeah.
You know, I've seen it and I've heard about it. You know, I was at a bar one night where they were flipping bottle caps at the comics.
Jesus.
Like, you know, and they got like a red light on them, and you can see the bottle caps whizzing, and you can see the comics like ducking from time to time.
That still happens?
No, I don't. You know, I haven't heard about it.
Yeah.
But there's got to be a fucking country bar somewhere, or some fucking crazy bar somewhere that they're still, you know, throwing things at people. You know, when we used to do Moscow, Idaho, they would send you 25 shots of tequila with Tabasco sauce in it.
Jesus. And you had to do them.
Oh, my God, they boo you off the stage.
Holy shit.
And you had a half hour, and the trick was to kill the feature and to just make the headline and go into fucking convulsions.
That's what they wanted to do.
That's what they wanted to do.
They didn't care about the comedy.
The first time you did a shot of tequila, when you weren't on stage 5 minutes, and they were giving you a what was it called, a prairie fart or a prairie dog.
Oh my God!
They would give you, see what it's called, tequila and Tabasco. Lee.
Bellingham.
No. Moscow, Idaho.
Yeah.
Close to Idaho State.
Yeah, Washington.
Idaho State University.
Yeah, the Vandals.
Because that's the college that Drew Bledsoe went to.
Prairie Fire.
Prairie
There
Fire.
You go.
Let me tell you something, Lee. Think about going on stage, okay?
Oh, my God.
You're opening up for
a magician.
Theo Vaughn
Okay.
at this hotel, and it's all college students. 200 college students, and you go up on stage, and 5 minutes into your act, a waitress comes up to you with a shot. You can't tell her, like, what's in it? What's in this shot? I'm not drinking tequila. As soon as you turn on that shot, it's going to be the 25, and you can't get off because you won't get paid. You can't get off because you won't get paid. Jesus. So they're going to the club owner's going to say to you, you only did 21. I got to call the booker and see what to do.
Oh, my.
So now you look like a fucking jerk off. So you have to either drink that shot and take what comes with it, because they're not going to pay it. And your material is not worthy of anything. Just take the shots and talk about getting drunk with them. That's what your 30 minutes is going to be about.
Wow. That's what these road gigs are like.
I did that Moscow, Idaho 10 fucking times. And after the third time, I got it. Sorry, Charlie. It's not going to be any different. First 2 times, I just bombed. I drank them. The third time, I puked in the sink. I'll never forget that. I puked in the sink.
Jesus.
And then every time after, I just brought cocaine with me. And I didn't get sick anymore. The one time I had the bed spins.
Yeah, I don't want that.
It's fucking bad. And there were 10, the 8-ball end in Missoula, Montana was like that. There was 20 bars that, dog, as soon as you went on stage, give them a shot of whiskey. Give them another shot of whiskey. And you better drink them.
God forbid you had to drive to another gig that night.
There's no, you don't even think about it. It's over. You're sleeping in the car and you're going to fucking drive 90 the whole morning.
Well, I was thinking about this when you told me that Brody was coming in. I was like, you, Joey, and Brody are probably 2 of the most comfortable people on stage. Like, I feel like you feel comfortable on stage.
Can be. Yeah.
And like, it blows my mind that you, Brody, will go on in the main room and do like the drumming. Like, I just did the main room for my first time ever, and I got there like an hour early,
right,
and was petrified. like how have you always been that comfortable, or did it take years to get that sort of like that's a level of comfort that most people don't have?
It took a long time, but once I went for it, once you like take that milk and you pour it into that cereal, you like you go for it. So
well, I gotta be honest with you, you had it the night I met you. The night that you did that, you had that already. So you already had that. I don't give a fuck. I'm shitting my pants, but I don't give a fuck attitude. I could tell you were shitting your pants, but you were taking chances. We were young comics.
Yeah.
In 95, I'd been doing comedy for 4 years on paper, but 2 years. Come on, motherfucker.
Yeah.
You want to do this? About 2.5 years. Come on, motherfucker. And then they featured me for Laurie Kilmartin, and I didn't go back to Bold. I was like, I found a home.
Right there.
I was thinking about when I first found my real niche. Like I was just going up there and trying to tell jokes and finding yourself. And then one Monday, I got back with the stripper. She invited me to her house. We had tremendous sex. I fucked her in the ass, came in the mouth, the whole fucking thing.
Nice.
We went grocery shopping. I had $175 to my name. Groceries were $140, and she looked at me, and I paid for $140 worth of groceries. I had $35. We went back to her house. She made me turkey burgers with mushrooms and onions and with something on the side, a salad. It was 6:30. My clothes were there. I was going to stay. We were back together. And she started talking about some guy she had fucked. And we got into an argument. And I'll never forget that I said, can I at least get half the money from the groceries? And she goes, fuck you. Last time I paid for groceries. So here I am at the Underground with my luggage.
Oh, no.
Behind the counter, everything I owned, $35 in my pocket, nowhere to sleep. And I went up there on a Monday night, and I said 2 or 3 jokes, Lee, and I just went into this. For years, I had that tape. I gave it to Joe Rogan. It was one of the first times that JOEY DIAZ came out. That was one of the first, and he came out and went right back in. Like he got scared. When I saw it on tape, it petrified me. I went up there and said exactly what, like I went up there and tried to be cute, and all of a sudden I go, who the fuck am I kidding? I want to kill this fucking bitch.
Yeah.
And I just went on a rant. I destroyed that room, and I forget the bit I got from it. Like I got a joke from it. I'm dating a stripper. We were in love. Everything was going great. Then I ran out of money. Something like stupid, and I just ran with it. And then I went into the fucking ball and chain something, and then I went into why. And this is when OJ was hot, like that. People,
yeah, 95.
And then I started going into why. Now I know why he killed that bitch, and people were like, but that was the first time that I had done comedy. It took me 4 years to really find my voice, and then I said, that's never going to happen again. Like I was so scared of that guy coming out. And it took 5 years for that guy to come out again.
Jesus.
So you have it. It just never, the day it comes out on the way home, you're like,
uh-oh,
what the fuck happened tonight?
So you have it. You can go into that gear. You can go to that spot. So you that was at the Comedy Underground down
Yes,
there?
on a Monday night.
That was the open mic night.
I had a thick beige sweater on with like a stripe on. I'll never forget that. I'll never forget somebody saying, hey, I taped that set, and me looking at them going, no, you didn't. And they're like, yeah, I'll have it for you at the end of the week.
Nice.
Somebody taped that set for me, and I popped it in, and tears rolled down my face. Like I was like, oh my God, who is that person?
That club was Seattle was just a great spot for me to start. And
that's who you first got on stage, or that was?
Pretty much, yeah. I mean, when I moved back here, I graduated college, Arizona State, never did anything other than an acting class. Then I came back here in summer of 93, and I took a workshop at UCLA with Pauly Shore's sister, knowing that the Comedy Store sponsored it. So it was a way for me to get into the Comedy Store. I knew that it was a way to possibly get seen. So we did the workshop, and then every Wednesday I'd drive by the Comedy Store one day. Maybe I'll be in there. And then I did my graduating workshop there in the original room. It was packed. I did well. People were giving me business cards. I felt like I was a comedian. Then I did one open mic out in Chatsworth like next night, and it was a typical open mic, which was like not a wake-up call, but I didn't want to go through that, being that I'm from the Valley. I just got done playing baseball. It was going to be hard for me to have somebody probably not from the Valley running the show, giving me like, hey kid, whatever, I knew the open mic. I did one open mic to know it wasn't for me. And I went back to UCLA and I took the business of comedy class. I wanted to learn all about comedy. And then the guy said, if you want to do stand-up, you got to get out of Los Angeles. That's what he told me.
Who taught the class? Do you remember?
Danny Robinson, APA.
No shit.
Yeah.
Do you still see him from time to time?
Time to time.
He still says hello to you? He's a good guy. He's a really good guy. He represents Tiffany Haddish.
Oh, he does?
Yeah.
There you go. Well, he taught the workshop, and he said, it's good to get away. And then I looked into going either back to Phoenix, where I had friends, but no real feel for supportive art. I didn't feel that vibe when I went to school there. But my aunts and uncles lived up in Seattle, and they said, come up to Seattle. They support the arts up here. And then they had the Northridge earthquake in '94. I was working at Macy's, Bullock's over there at Topanga Promenade Mall. And the earthquake happened, got in the car and left and drove up to Seattle, stayed with my family out in Bellevue area. And then I just jumped into doing the open mics at the Comedy Underground. Just jumped into it, meeting people. Then I got a job at the Comedy Underground, learning I just wanted to learn everything about comedy.
What did you do at the Comedy Underground?
Just sat people, on Fridays and Saturdays. Clay was the gent ran it, with the long hair.
I still talk to him on Facebook.
Oh, really? Isn't he like in Asia or something?
Yeah, he's in Asia, Indonesia or something.
Yeah, he taught me all about
Clay Jones.
Yeah.
Clay Jones.
He was an interesting guy, and he taught me all about how the club ran and all the stories behind it. And I just learned about how to seat a room, run a room, see a three-person non-showcase show. I learned about comedy there in Seattle, and luckily there's some great comedians, and there was just coffee shops. That's where I learned to write. I learned to drink coffee in Seattle. The environment up there was really conducive to being an artist. And then we had the cable access, me and Tana, we jumped on that. We did that. And it was just it was a great community up in Seattle where I found my voice. And then after 3 years, because I started up there, I could tell like I was only getting maybe guest spots, but I was itching to get out. I was itching. I kind of like found my voice. I wanted to do more. And then you told me, Joey, you said, Brody, you got to go to New York. And then I went to New York, and that's where I really broke out and found my voice, just talking and walking, getting off the subway, the L train, and walking the Lower East Side with my headphones on and visualizing, feeling like, yeah, I'm cool, okay, like giving myself that confidence. Because I had some based off the cable access show and mostly that, because I wasn't really getting great spots at the Comedy Underground. I mean, maybe a guest, I wasn't their guy, and I understood. But when I went to New York, I felt that energy, and I really honed my voice doing the Lower East Side shows, and then I barked at the Comedy Cellar, but I was so because I thought it would lead to getting a spot, but I was intimidated by Esty, so I never really asked her how to get on. I was intimidated, but I saw the Comedy Cellar bark them in, so I knew Dave Attell, Judah, Gaffigan, Todd Barry, Marin. I saw how that room was run, but I still wasn't doing it. But New York is where, I started doing shows, though, some alternative shows with Todd Barry and Marin and Dave Chappelle, and I was holding my own, and I just felt like I can come back home to Los Angeles, and I have a marketable skill, and my friends were coming out here that I met in New York were working for shows. So when I got here in 2000, I had a place to stay, I had a car, I knew my way around, and then boom, I got a spot on CBS Late Night, Late Show with Kilborn. I did a premium blend, and then I got Best Damn Sports Show, and then the rest is history. So if you want to say that. But I kind of like New York is where I really I honed it. And as a kid growing up here in the Valley, I wanted to go to New York City. I wanted that gritty skyscraper energy. And that's what it gave them. You told me to go there, and that's where I like just started talking. Like that's why I did Surf Reality, because they weren't into jokes. It was like talking. So I talk about what was on my mind, getting mad about just New York stuff or what have you. So I did that, and then warm up was helped me professionally, like being around celebrities or whatever, and then just doing shows and then going for it. And it's like, this is the major leagues. Now, once you're here in LA, to have thoughts like, I'm not confident, what are they going to think? And I don't have that. It's like, I can't. This is it. So I feel like I've done pretty good in terms of like, I have a lot of like, my resume is wide and vast. I just haven't really capitalized on one thing and have done that, whatever that one thing may be.
Well, I got to tell you something. I almost had a tear in my eye a couple minutes ago.
Oh, really?
You mentioned Seattle, because, you know, I had this discussion with Duncan on his podcast, how I would love to tell you there's not a God. I would love to tell people that there's not a God or a higher force or a higher power. But me going to Seattle was a pivotal point in my life. Like pivotal, like looking back at it, even though I got arrested 6 times.
Right.
You know, it was the pivotal point in my life. Like it took me completely out of my comfort zone. I still remember going to the underground. I got into town at 1 a.m. on Friday night, slept, got up at 9:30, went and got eggs, and took a bus down to the Comedy Underground, and just looked in there. And it wasn't even, it was Swanee's.
Yeah, Swanee's
The
upstairs.
club was downstairs, and all I wanted to do was to figure out how to get a spot. And I was there, and the bar was closed, and I'm looking through the fucking glass, and my heart's pumping, because I'm at the fucking Comedy Underground. And then I went back Sunday, and they told me to come back on Monday, and that was the happiest day of my life. Like that fucking Sunday, when they said come back on Monday and sign up for the open mic. And I signed up, and the guy was great to me, and I dropped the name, Rick Kearns, and the guy's like, yeah, we'll put you up. And I was like, I do not believe this. I'm at the Comedy Underground. Like, I do not believe this. And then a kid walked in with a Boston Red Sox hat on backwards.
I know who that was.
And it was Josh Wolf.
There you go.
I just latched onto him. I said, you're from the East Coast? Yeah, you got to fill me in on what's going on here. I came on heavy to Josh. And I remember him being like kind of intimidated.
Yeah.
I called him every day for a week. Like, what the fuck? You know, call me back. You know, but I was just so ready. And then Carl Warmenhaven,
assistant manager.
I will be, it's like, I'll be indebted to him for the rest of my life. I can never say no to him if he calls me for something. Because that year and a half with him was an education, you know, that I was not going to get in Denver. I was not getting that comedy education in Denver.
Seattle knew comedy, the arts. There's a reason why all those companies are up there.
The contest took me to a different level.
Yep.
Just doing the contest,
I remember those.
And coming in like 6th to 7th took me to a different level. And then being there, like being the feature act every 6 weeks. Every 6 weeks I was the feature act. Mm-hmm. You know, I knew how to manipulate John Fox. I knew how to manipulate Giggles. I knew how to, you know, get Bellingham. I had him on rotation. On Monday I would fax Pat Wilson. I would fax Donna Reed in Portland. Yeah. I would fax Alberto, who booked the Music Box.
I remember him.
Downtown. You know, in those days, Monday at 9, I was already on the corner. I didn't have a fax machine. Giving them a quarter of fax, a cover sheet, and a fucking schedule. Fake. Fake schedule. Completely fake. Bogus. You know, thank God a lot of comedy clubs didn't have web pages in those days.
Right.
But I would like make up fucking dates. Like, don't give me this. Like, let's say this week here, if I was home, I would say I'm in Caroline's in New York. I would just flat out lie on the resume and then leave 3 weeks open so they could see I was open. And hopefully they'd give me a Thursday at the Music Box or a Saturday. Alberto booked 2 things. Mm-hmm. Pat Wilson had like 4 things. Donna Reed had like 8 things.
Ron Reed's wife. Well, she was a manager. She was a manager.
She was a manager, but she
Laura.
had Laura Crocker, rest in peace. Yep. That bitch had
If you had Josh.
She had Josh, but that bitch had 15 rooms in those days. She had 15 to 20 rooms. She had those 2 Mexican rooms, that 1 room up in Kent.
Yeah.
She had rooms, Jack.
See, she didn't really book me.
She didn't book me, but I got back at her. I would call her and ask her for guest spots, and I could feel her pussy hairs tightening up when I called, because she hated me with every piece of her heart. She hated me all the way down to her toes. But I would call her 3 times a week and go, "Hi, Donna." Whatever was her name?
Was it Donna?
No,
Laura.
How you doing, Mrs. Crocker? JOEY DIAZ. And I could hear her go, "I'm going to go down to your club tonight and do a guest spot. Is that okay with you?" She would not pay me. She never paid me a dime. But till today, I thank her, because her hatred made me a better comic.
There you go.
I proved myself to her that I was better than she was. She might have hated me, but I did a free spot in her rooms 3 nights a week. And the club owners would say, "Why don't you work here?" Because she won't book me.
I mean, Seattle was like that. It's like if you're a big guy, an Italian guy. Seattle and Italy, it's like Italians, 2 different things. Or
the thing about that I learned early on, the thing I learned early on was that, and this was a no-brainer. I think it was a guy named, there was a magician who worked the Triple Run, and he came in on a Tuesday, and he was a sweetheart of a guy, and I had him sleep over. This is my first year of comedy. At this point, I was probably doing comedy 9 months. And I let him sleep over my house. I was divorced, and I had 2 bedrooms. And the Triple Runs in those days went Tuesday night Boulder, Wednesday night you're off. So a feature act would pick up $50 cash and have to pay $40 for a hotel room, because you were off.
Right.
You were off. So that means you had to pay for your own hotel Wednesday night. Then Thursday was Craig. Friday was Gunnison, and Saturday was fucking the Edge of Hell Telluride.
These were tough gigs.
The Denver run was a big week. Craig, Colorado was the only room that in the thing it said, "This room gets active." The stage was 30 feet away, and there was glass, and they would throw shit.
Oh, really?
And they'd said, if something happens, go to your room, lock yourself in, and call the 911. I mean, the fucking thing it said would just make you laugh. Like underneath the room, they said, "Caution, this room gets active." So
active.
What I would do in those days would if the headliner or the feature were cool, I'd give them my number and say, "Call me when you check out. You got a couch to sleep on tomorrow night." And some of those guys were Doug Stanhope, the guy that took Freddie Prince's place in Chico and the Man. I had a couple guys stay over, but one guy stayed over that wasn't the funniest guy in the world, but he was a magician comic, and he was kind of a nice guy.
Mm-hmm.
He gave me a list of bookers, like those guys that have those sheets.
Yeah.
We went to the printing place, and he made like 20 sheets of bookings. But he told me something. I said to him, "Do you think I should go to New York?" And he goes, "Why would you want to do that? There's 1,000 of you in New York." He goes, "There's 1,000 of you in Boston." He goes, "You got to find the market where there's nobody else like you. So you could shine. You could be unique, and people will hire you." That's why when the opportunity for Seattle came up, I was like, "I'm going."
Yeah, Seattle, it's...
Because this is the same thing I told you, and I also told this to Mitch Hedberg.
Oh.
The reason why I told you guys this is because they had 1,000 of you out here. There's 1,000 goofy white guys. They don't have that in New York. Now they do. Now they got everything in New York.
Right.
But not 20 years ago. 20 years ago, there was a lot of guys like me, and everybody talked to the audience, which is a bad habit that you pick up in New York. You talk to the audience. So the hosts were different.
Yeah.
So when I talked to Hedberg, God rest his soul, and I told him, "There's nobody like you in New York." He hit in New York.
Went to New York.
Because there's nobody like you there. That's where you're going to get love. Where there are people like you, it's no love. I knew when I saw you that there wasn't nobody like you in New York at that time.
Yeah.
Now there's 1,000 guys trying to be Brody Stevens. It don't work. You follow me? Then they become themselves.
Yeah.
You know, when we all start, we start being somebody else. Then we become ourselves. We evolve into ourselves.
I just think like comedians, I try to send them to New York City, try and spend some time there, go there. I moved there. I lived there for 3 years. I wasn't going back and forth. I was living there.
We're going in like fucking Marines, you understand me?
Welcome to church, motherfucker.